Well, folks, this week we have a new episode sponsor. We welcome on board Conqueror's Motorcycle Apparel. If you've been watching any of the tour vids, you've more than likely seen Sam on there. Sam is the owner of Conqueror's Apparel, based down in St Leonards. It's a great shop, stocked to the gunnels with cracking kit from all the big brands. Get yourself onto the website, which is conquerorsapparel.co.uk, or if you're down in the southeast, head down to St Leonards and pop in. He might even make you a coffee, but watch the shelf. Either way, if you use the code, wait for it, Fisters10, yes, Fisters10, don't ask, you might even get 10% off. Massive thanks to Conqueror's Motorcycle Apparel for their support. A big shout to Ultimate Add-ons for their continued support. Ultimate Add-ons provide cases for your phones. They're dustproof, they're shockproof, they're waterproof. I've been using their kit for years now. I think 2017, something like that was when I first started using them. They're brilliant. They allow me to use my phone on just about any bike out there. There's pretty much always a way I can get the phone attached to the handlebars or somewhere on the bike, and then I can use that as my navigation. And the Ultimate Add-ons cases just mean that my phone's kept nice and safe. I've had no issues with vibration affecting the cameras. Great bits of kit. They also do action camera mounts. They'll do heated grips. They do balaclavas. They do all sorts. USB and USB-C power adapters for your bike. Loads and loads of different things there. If you head to ultimateaddons.com, you can check out everything they've got on offer there on the website. And if you use the code TeapotOne10, TeapotOne with the number 10, you'll get 10% off. Massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons. Folks, welcome back to Brew Time. This week, we've got this lot. How you doing, boys?
Good. Hey, how's it going?
Right, collectively, the three mopeds, three peaks, but we have, gents, can you introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so I'm Charlie. I'm the one with the BSA Aerial 3 that's currently in various states of disrepair, but we're working on that. But yeah.
And you're all red. Can you explain why you're in the dark and red?
So I probably shouldn't be, but I'm currently on exercise. I've had permission from my boss to be here, but
of course you have.
We're a bit tactical at the moment, so yeah.
Everyone be very, very quiet.
Mum's the word.
Well, the enemy can't see things that are in red. That's a common thing that we're taught.
And Robert?
Yeah, hi, I'm Robert. I've got the Suzuki FZ50, the best of the three. It's working in some ways and not working in many others, but we'll get there eventually. And yeah, hopefully it'll make it out of my garage at some stage and maybe even to a main road. But we'll see.
And lastly, but by no means least.
My name's Nathan. I will have to disagree with the last statement because mine is running and it actually has an MOT as well.
I see.
I've got the Java 210. I've ridden it around a bit and I've managed to get a mighty top speed of 32 miles an hour.
Oh, so excellent.
It's quick.
Right. I think we better explain to people, or you better explain to people what this is all about. But before we do that, Robert and Nathan, I can join you in a little beer. Charlie, sorry, pal. Never mind. Cheers for your service and all that. But Slange, cheers to your health. Right, so...
delicious, Charles. We'd love that.
What is this all about? Three mopeds, three peaks.
So it started off as a bit of a drunk pub idea between me and Nathan in Germany.
We were out
there doing a... We were doing a main rotation out there. We got drunk and decided we'd seen a couple of lightweight adventurers videos and thought we could do that but better. So originally the plan was buy a load of 50cc 500-pound mopeds and rag them about Salisbury Plain. But it kind of grew from there to be, we've decided we're going to change it a little bit, get three old classic mopeds, try and use them to ride from Snowdon in Wales up to Ben Nevis in Scotland and do the three peaks along the way.
Fantastic.
In fact, he got so drunk that he forgot that it wasn't Nathan he was drinking with, it was me. There we go. It's good to know that I'm a memorable person to be at the pub with. Cheers, Charlie.
Yeah.
When I'm drunk, it just comes down. Sorry, lads.
So you lads, are you all currently serving or ex-serving military? Is that right?
Yeah. We're all. Charlie and I are both currently in the REME. Nathan was, but then he left us to do lesser things, and yeah. So we've all got history in the military, in the army, and some of us are still going, some of us are still currently in the field, and some of us have left.
Awesome. So, what is the point of doing this then? You're doing this for charity. What are the charities?
All right. Yeah. So, because we've got a charity each. So the charity I'm doing it for is Our Place in Sutton Coldfield. It's kind of a community charity, and they help out people who are vulnerable, whether that's through circumstance or because of mental health, stuff like that. My mum works for the charity, or she used to be a lot more involved. She's retiring now, but so she would go around to a lot of schools, and like I say, people who are struggling. It'd be counselling and stuff like that. But then they also provide training for people to then become counsellors.
And do they like specifically deal with ex-military? Because I know from my previous life in the old Bill, especially in central London, quite a chunk of the homeless population tend to be ex-military for whatever reason. You know, the mental health seems to be something to the fore there, particularly through PTSD and things like that. Do they deal with that? Do they help out ex-military at all, or is there a connection with the military?
There's not anything specifically like military based.
Right.
But I mean, I couldn't tell you, about specific people. But yeah, it's anyone who's kind of struggling. I know my mum used to deal a lot with people in schools, so it'd be kids. Something's not gone wrong, not gone right in their life, or some sort of mental health. Yeah,
gotcha. And what else have we got? What other charities?
Yeah, so I'm raising money for Derby Museum of Making. So it's Derby. It's part of the Derby Museum Group, but they specialise in like more the sort of the engineering and the Industrial Revolution side of things. But they also do a lot of community outreach with children, trying to get kids into, like girls especially, into STEM, which obviously is quite known for being under represented in those sort of areas. They're doing a lot with youth outreach as well, getting them into not just STEM but arts and crafts as well. My mother once again works for them. She does a lot of the sort of where she used to be a seamstress with the Royal School of Needlework. Does a lot of that sort of community outreach based stuff, working through projects. Derbyshire's got quite a rich heritage with the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, it's one of the sort of the founding counties of it. So us in Manchester sort of areas with Jebediah Strutt and Joseph Arkwright in Crouch with the mill there. Pushing through all that, so it's quite big up my way as the engineering stuff. So it was quite big for me joining in the REME as well, to try and find something that ticked both of those boxes. And Derby Museum of Making was the one. They're a really good museum, and they do a lot for the community as well within that sort of field.
And lastly,
so my charity is Cancer Research UK. I don't think they need much more of an introduction. They're quite widely known. I feel like it's a bit of a catch-all. Everybody knows someone who's been affected by cancer in some way. Yeah. So I feel like having Cancer Research UK on board as well, it just means that we get that broader reach to the entire community, where everyone should hopefully not, but unfortunately does have some sort of connection and some sort of relevance to them. They do a lot of work for a lot of people. Founded on the 4th of February 2002, and since then have just raised tons to try and defeat the horror that is cancer. Unfortunately, that plagues too many people, and hopefully one day will be defeated.
Well, wish you the best in raising. Have you got a target set at all?
So we've set ourselves the rather lofty heights of £3,000 on account of there being three of us. So three seemed a bit of a recurring number there. And
like it.
Instead of 300 quid, why not try and push it a little bit, see what we can get?
We've got to make sure you smash that for sure. Right, gents, three classic bikes. I get why you went for the extra challenge of classic mopeds, but how did you pick them? Was it just whatever was available, or did you all have a set one that you wanted to go for?
Yeah, so I was I the first one to pick one up, or was it you, Rob?
I think it was me.
Yeah.
So with mine, what it was is, as we said before, the original plan was to get a couple of scooters. Me and Charlie to get a couple of scooters to just smash them around Salisbury Plain and do nonsense with. But I then, on Facebook Marketplace, where all the best things are, and the FZ50 just appears like, just appeared like a dream. And I saw it and I thought, that it is just the best bike that I ever did lay eyes on. So I went for that, and yeah, when we got it, I took Charlie with me as the expert in engines and mechanics.
Your fault.
Yeah, I fully blame. Yeah, Charlie has drained my bank account with all of his good ideas, and so we got hold of that. And after looking at it, we thought, we can't just smash this around Salisbury Plain. It deserves better. So we came up with the idea of fixing them up, getting other classic mopeds. Charlie then got a trike, which is close, and then to take them around the Three Peaks and try and raise some money for some excellent charities.
Charlie, so yours is a trike. I'm having a look at the picture now. I've got the pictures here of the three of them. Yours is a trike then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. So I should preface this by saying it's not just any trike. It's a trike that has, so the front section where you sit on tilts, and then where the rear wheels are, that stays in situ sort of thing. But then on top of that, only one of the rear wheels is powered and only one of the rear wheels is braked. So it's absolute death trap. It's brilliant. I can't rave about them enough. If you've never ridden trikes before, and I've never done, no. I think this is the perfect medium for everyone.
Wow. Tell me it's actually got tires on it, because the picture I'm looking at, there's no rubber on the wheels.
I have since stuck three,
I think
they're
BMX
£8 Halfords BMX tires. Yeah, that's the one. Push bike tires. So you can't get proper motorbike tires for them. So on the BSA owners group, they recommend, I think it's Continentals. But I've just, for the time being at least, just chucked some Halfords, like £8 ones on, and they've done brilliantly so far.
Have you got any backing so far? Are any companies helping out?
No. So we've approached 26 Armoured Engineer Regiment, and they're quite keen to help out in terms of the logistics. That's where myself and Robert are both based at. But at the moment, we've kind of, to be honest, you're the first person we've reached out to just to see if it would actually garner any interest, and surprisingly, it actually kind of has. Yeah.
Right. Well, listen, folks, companies out there, anyone's got any contacts, just all the usual stuff that the boys are going to need. They're going to need lube. They're going to need lubricants. They're going to need oils, the tires, all this sort of malarkey, just stuff. And what about your fuel and food for is it 24 hours? How long have you got to do the Three Peaks?
If we did it in 24 hours, I don't think there's a chance of Earth that we're going to make it up to Scotland in 24 hours.
Have you set a time scale?
We can't go on motorways either, so we've got a top speed of and Nathan's managed to make 32 mile an hour, and I reckon that's pretty fast for what these things can do. So
yeah.
I've set as the sort of target of 8 days to try and get it done in. So that's one day for climbing up each mountain, and then I think it's 5 days for actual riding. So we're aiming on getting 100 miles a day. I think the issue that we had with it was because they are all classic mopeds, and we've bought them all for sub £500, and then had like £700 is our maximum budget on top of that, including buying the bikes. We wanted to be a bit sort of not too harsh on them, but try and have a bit of fun as well on the way. And it's in October that we're doing it, so it's going to be cold. So we're trying not to get too into that, if that makes sense.
How much had you drank when you came up with this idea?
think it's best we don't talk about that. My mother might be listening. She'd be a bit disappointed, I think.
I don't think either of us can remember.
We're also supported by the Influencer Store. I'll read out their blurb. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Now, I've been using the Influencer Store to handle all my merch pretty much for the last 4 years now. If you head to my website, TeapotOne.com, if you go to the store there, the shop where all the merch is, that's all handled by the Influencer Store. And if you buy anything from there, you're also helping me out and helping to support the podcast. So a massive thanks to them. Lastly, a huge shout out to each one of you, everyone that's listening to the podcast, everyone that watches on YouTube, everyone that watches the normal vids over on the TeapotOne channel. Just by watching the vids, by giving it a little thumbs up, sharing, commenting, things like that, you really do help the channel out. You help to boost it up in the algorithm. If you share it amongst your friends, that is a massive win. That's a huge win at the moment. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, if it's something like Apple or Spotify, a couple of other ones, you're actually able now to rate the podcast, whether that's leaving like a 5-star review or a thumbs up or commenting or leaving a comment on each episode. All these things really do help to boost the podcast up in the rankings. So if you could do that, it would be greatly appreciated. And to every single one of you over in the clan, patreon.com/TeapotOne, I literally couldn't do this without all your support. So a huge thank you from me. Right, let's get back to the podcast. Brilliant. Well, aye, folks, if you're listening, if you know anybody or you yourselves, if you want to get involved, then look in the description. If you're listening to the podcast, check out the show notes. If you're watching YouTube vid, have a look at the vid description, and there'll be a link there for. Is it just Instagram that you lads are on?
It is just Instagram at the. Yeah, it's just Instagram.
Okay, right. Is there a website or anything like that? I know you've got your Just Giving page.
There's just the Just Giving page at the moment, and then the Instagram. But we'll get something knocked up. We're all a bit busy at the moment with deployments and all the rest of it. So I'm training for going overseas, and Rob's obviously busy with postings and things. So it's all been a bit up in the air. But we're hoping now that things are hopefully going to settle down. Next month we'll get to it a bit more and give it a bit more time.
No dramas. Well, I'll put the Instagram one down there, folks, and the Just Giving link. And if you're interested in trying to help the lads out in any shape or form, you can contact them via that, and let's see what we can do to help. Right. So, you're all from Remy, is that right? Electrical, mechanical engineers?
Yeah.
So, sorry, go on.
Sorry. So 2 of us are VMs. So me and Nathan actually met at a previous posting at 5 Battalion Remy. And then Robert's Lecky Tech, and we both met at 2 Armoured Engineers, which is where we are now.
Right, gotcha. Yeah. I'm sure you won't be surprised that, I chuck this out on my socials. For some reason, it's not garnered much interest on the socials, but on Patreon it has. I've got a good, healthy following on Patreon. And I think you're going to get quite a bit of abuse from various other branches of the military. But, I'm sure you're used to that.
They're just all jealous, that's all. It's natural. It's natural to be jealous.
Obviously. Speaking of which, shall we crack on with some questions? Because that's obviously going to go open up all sorts of conversation. And Charlie, you might need to dive off at some point anyway.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Right, okay. So first off, we'll head across to Patreon, patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Owen Harries. How you doing, Owen? Now here's a challenge close to my soul. I'm ex-Remy, so now have the reconnaissance military operate. So know how the reconnaissance military operate. Question 1, how are you all going to cope with logistics? Food, shelter, recovery. The AA only offer 5 call-outs per year. Right, so how are you dealing with this then, the actual logistics? That's a proper engineer question, that, isn't it? The practical side of it.
Yeah, so 26 Engineers is helping out a lot with that. We've also got another member of the team who will be driving a support van. So he'll be able to have, extra some spares and extra bits that we might need for when we inevitably break down. I mean, we say break down. Reema's not Charlie hasn't managed to get working in the first place yet. But when we get him working and then broken down again, we'll have some extra spares there. So that's our main way of recovery and self-help, if you like, by having our extra van driver.
Gotcha. So literally, are you just like camping at the side of the road in the evenings, or
Probably.
What's the crack?
Yes, it's relying on the kindness of strangers to a point, and then camping on the side of the road. So we're taking my van with my mate Tom Mills driving it. He's Reamy as well. He's at One Mercy in LAD as a striper there. Top lad he is. He's going to be driving the van. So worst come to worst, we can always kip in the back of that, and we've got some friends up north and in Wales as well. And then hotels or campsites and all the rest of it as we go.
Gotcha. Second question from Owen. How far would you lads, sorry Bruce, off-roading required, how far would you possibly be willing to extend your efforts to maybe undertake a slightly larger peak, a hill or a mountain challenge in the future? I'm currently planning a scooter challenge. Definitely would do an X-Forces Reamy collab. Oh, I think he's got another challenge for you by the sound of it.
Well, look for that.
I don't know if the 50 cc's will make it up.
All the 50 cc's will make it anyway. They are rock solid.
I thought there's no such word as can't. There's no such word as can't, surely.
Well, absolutely. It might just take a little bit longer, that's all, but that's fine. I found in Facebook Marketplace, I'm looking at a 1979 Honda Express NC50, which I reckon will be able to make it, to Eastern Europe and back. So I'm all about that challenge, yeah.
Gents, you might need to ban Robert from Facebook Marketplace, I think, by the sound of things. Although it does sound like it could be a giggle, go admit. Have you ever heard of the Mongol Rally? Have you heard of the Mongol Rally?
Yes, run by the Adventurous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they've got a 125 limit on bikes.
Well, they do, but certain exceptions can apply, because I was thinking about, I've got my Jigsaw Thou from the big trip, from the world trip, and I thought, that's got over 100,000 miles on it. And I was like, I wonder if they'd let me enter that in it. That'd be, because it's
100% do it.
Battered. But the trouble is, they're not doing Mongolia at the moment, obviously, because of what's going on with Ukraine and Russia just now. They've altered the route slightly, I think. So I might have to wait. I might wait till that avenue opens up again. But yeah, I fancy that, the old Mongol. That looks a giggle.
Got to be done. It'd be even better on a 50cc scooter, though.
It kind of would, I think. Yeah, there's a proper challenge to that, isn't there? Right through the stands on a 50.
Yeah. See how far I can get on one cylinder.
Okay, right, Owen. I think you might need to contact the lads. Contact the lads through their Insta. 3 Peaks, 3 Mopeds, 3 Peaks. I'll put the link down below, obviously, and let them know what your challenge is. Maybe something might happen there in the future. Next one, Biker España. Hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all well. Question 1. What part of your endeavour do you think will be the biggest challenge? Will it be restoring, riding, or the 3 Peaks themselves?
I think each one of those questions...
Where is Nathan? Is he in and out of Mongolia at the moment or something?
He's in his garden shed. He's been banished to the shed, I think.
Yeah, you might go and kick the kids off the internet. Right, he's gone. He's totally gone now. Right, go on in, Robert. What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge?
What I'm trying to say is not wanting, but all 3 of those are going to be a challenge. None of us are, experienced mountaineers, so there's going to be a physical challenge there. But hopefully, we've all got. Oh, it looks like he's back.
He's back.
But, hopefully, we've all got an attempt to walk up. A few hills. I think fixing them up is going to be interesting. Mine's certainly throwing out some weird and wonderful faults at the moment that I don't understand. But once they get going, I think they're going to be absolutely perfect. Nothing's going to break down, and it's going to be just a simple case of riding 100 miles a day for 8 days, and nothing could possibly go wrong. So, yeah, mark my words, you won't have a single breakdown.
Robert, are you an
We're
officer?
in trouble here.
You speak like someone who's in charge. Everything's great. Everything will be brilliant.
It will be absolutely fantastic, and there's no need to worry whatsoever.
Have you done the Three Peaks at all yourselves? Like, have you got any experience of hill climbing, trekking?
So I've climbed all of those mountains, but not as a 3-peak challenge.
Gotcha.
Just as a bit of fun on the weekends.
Yeah, got you.
I was due to do the 3 Peaks challenge. The again, 26 Engineers was planning it, but it got cancelled because of risk assessments and boring stuff like that. So I've not been. There's a chance it might happen before we go out, but we'll see. I've walked up a hill before though, and I've walked up a flight of stairs quite a few times. I feel like it's going to be very similar.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right, Nathan, you're back.
Yeah.
Right, sorry, mate. What were you saying before the internet died on you?
I think I was just saying the to do with the kind of question. I think each one of the kind of challenges that we'll have will be different for each of us. Like Charlie's biggest challenge at the moment is actually just restoring it, getting his bike working. Oh well, getting it in one piece. And Robert's, yours is probably getting it kind of fine tuned, running properly. And then I don't know what mine is because mine runs perfectly.
Yours is paying for all the tax that we don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Proper bikes that are tax and MOT exempt at this stage.
Yeah.
So.
Go on then. So what is your one again, Nathan? What one have you gone for?
It's a Java 210, the Babetta.
So how does that? Sorry, go on.
I think there's only, I think at the peak in like the 90s there was 30 on the road, and now with mine there's 3 left on the road.
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
Why is that then? Is it because are they made of cheese, or like why? What's the reason?
I think a lot of people don't register them. They just use them as they put them in their caravan and then they use it to pooter around caravan parks and stuff like that.
Got you. Charlie, what about yourself, pal?
Oh, it's definitely the restoration for me. So I should probably point out that I bought my bike, surprise, surprise, on another little bit of a drunken Facebook marketplace search. It cost me £280 and I had to pick it up from a scrapyard in Boxes from Norfolk. So
280 quid?
280 quid with an apparently refurbished engine. And it looks pretty sweet, to be fair. I finally managed to get a carburetor thanks to the BSA Aerial Free Owners Group, who's absolutely amazing. And so I just need to bench test that when I get back from this, which has kind of put a stopper on that. But so 280 quid that cost me. But it was in Boxes. And as I say, in the back of a scrapyard in Norfolk, so perhaps not the best place to go looking.
No, I had a look at the Instagram for 3 Mopeds, 3 Peaks, and I see you started to put up some content around about the builds, the restoration of all the bikes. I take it that's what's going to happen as we progress through into next year, just as the builds progress, and hopefully we get some progress on the builds and stuff. That's all going to be documented there, is it?
That's the plan. Unfortunately, I'm disappearing off for another 6 months in March, so I've got till then to get my bike finished. But hopefully I'll be keeping the stuff up for the other 2 boys. And I'd like to just say as well that Derby Museum have very kindly offered to show my bike once it's finished in March next year. So if anyone wants to go and check it out there, and feel free to tag us in the Instagram post as well. That'd be mega.
Brilliant. Have you got your hashtags and all that malarkey sorted?
Oh yeah, it's all on the Instagram. I think we've got a few little bits and pieces up there.
You love that. You love a hashtag, don't you, Rima?
Oh, I love it. I can't beat. I struggle focusing a little bit. So Facebook's a bit much for me. But I find with the pictures on Instagram, it's so easy to use that it's just brilliant. You can scroll through it all day.
Yeah, I find Facebook a total nightmare. Facebook's probably my biggest platform. It's 120 odd thousand followers on that, but I hardly ever use it because it's just It just seems to be so disjointed over on Facebook. I don't know if it's because I've got a business account for TeapotOne, but it's all over the place. And the Facebook Messenger thing, it's like half the time it's full of ads and just junk. So to be honest, I don't often check it. Whereas Instagram, to me, just seems to be easy to use. It's all there, but it eats hours of your life.
Isn't it, Instagram?
Oh, it's like TikTok. Have you ever been on? You must have been on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Just a nightmare. I had to delete my account. Well, not delete. I just don't use TikTok anymore because it's just eats hours of your life. Oh, Charlie's gone.
I'm drowning myself now.
Sorry about
yeah, no worries.
You'll hear gunfire in the background in a minute.
Yeah, no.
We've just got a bit of a job on. Sorry about this.
Oh, mate, don't worry about it. No worries. Tis your role. Question 2 from Biker Spanish is, what time of year are you setting off? You said October, so that's October next year.
Yeah, so I think it's the first or second week of October we're planning on doing it.
Awesome. Nice one. Question 3, ration packs and camping or a nice hotel each night? Well, again, I think we've covered that. You're going to be roughing it every night, aren't you?
Definitely not ration packs, though.
Fish and chips and protein bars.
Oh, yeah, too right. Proper
I don't
Chinese
think we can
takeaway every
afford
night.
hotels at this stage with the amount of repairs we need to do.
Surely the king can step forward and sort you out with some food.
If the king wants to come forward and sponsor us, we will be absolutely willing to take on that sponsorship, I'm sure.
Surely it's the least a man can do. Surely.
I don't know. There's got to be an MBE in this somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if His Highness listens to Brewtime, but, if you do, sir, chuck the boys a little bacon sarnie. That would be great. Next one, Dave Martin. Evening all. As he said, thanks for serving our country. Yes, we do care. Don't ever doubt that. My question. I moved to France when I was 20. Every over 14-year-old kid's only mode of transport back then was the moped. That's just how they got around. Less common now, but means that most folk over 30 or so have at some time twatted round on a motorised two-wheeler. Hence, I think that's why we have so many bikers here, and also I think in Spain and Italy. So to the question, why do you think that was never a thing in the UK? Good point. I mean, you boys have obviously, you've been abroad, you've travelled a bit, but certainly in Europe, they definitely seem to be much more bike aware than they are here.
Weather in England, though, isn't it? Not exactly the best.
I also reckon, kind of in the past, when it came to like the whole mods and rockers thing, because my missus' parents, they always say they're not mods, but they know a lot of them, and they've got her dad's got a collection of Lambrettas and Vespas. And yeah, I think, maybe the mods that kind of scooter side kind of died out a bit and everyone moved on to all the bigger bikes because realistically they are a bit more practical. I reckon that's what's happened there. And then maybe to do with licensing. Yeah. It's difficult for younger people to get potentially a bike they want. If you're on an A2 license and it's limited to 47 horsepower, but you want to get basically anything over 100 horsepower, you just can't until you're in your kind of mid-20s.
I think Nathan touched on it perfectly there in that in the EU, the licensing is a lot easier, whereas over here, at 16, you can do your compulsory bike test, your CBT, and then you move on to, even I don't know what the rules are now. Is it A1, then A2, then A whatever it is? And this is the problem. I have a full license, and I don't understand what the different licenses are.
Same.
And I think that's a lot of it. Our license scheme is so convoluted for bikes that people don't know how to get into it because it's just weird. You can't ride a proper bike. I say a proper bike, 50 cc's. We've established a proper bikes, but you can't ride a full powered bike, if you like, up to unlimited until you're 24. Whereas in the EU, I don't think their rules are like that. You can ride them a lot younger. So if you're a 16-year-old, do you want to ride around on a little 125 with L plates on? I mean, a lot of people do, but not as many as you. And I think that's the problem. Our licensing scheme is so complicated. People don't know how to work it, and therefore people don't do it. So they just go for a car instead because it's easy.
Yeah, we just don't seem to have that. We just don't seem to have that culture here that promotes biking to the masses, do we? Like it, you go France, you go Spain, places like that, then there are still just loads of youngsters flying about the place on little bikes, but you just don't seem to see it here.
And it's a real shame because, especially in your city centres and your towns and built-up areas, bikes have such a massive advantage. Being able to filter through traffic and things like that, it significantly reduces the traffic load and the amount of build-up and congestion you get. But because everyone's in their big four-wheel boxes and can't move anywhere, you just end up with gridlock everywhere. Whereas if we had more bikes, people can filter through and you can get a lot more traffic flow in the same space, and it would significantly reduce congestion. But because it's not in our culture, like you say, we just end up with a lot more gridlock where it's frankly unnecessary.
Yeah. I think you're right there, Charlie.
Well.
Yeah, sorry, go on, Charlie. Yeah.
Sorry, just to add on to that as well. I think it was MAG Motorcycle Action Group did a picture. It was something like in one car space they fitted, was it 6 or 12 bikes or something? There was a picture that quite famously came out. And you just think how much space we'd save in urban areas. But as well as that, it's the mindful side of things as well that we've kind of not touched on, that we're in an era now where we're much more aware and much more promoting of mental health. And it's the impact and the positive side to that riding, not just a motorbike, but getting outside and having fresh air in your face does have, whether that's going for a walk or a push bike or riding 50cc mopeds to Ben Nevis from Snowdon. It all links into this mental health side of things as well. That's kind of almost not seen unless you're kind of in the know with it, with like motorcycle mental health or something like that. There's a charity that's running that. And it's strange that it's not a bigger thing.
Yeah, I mean, I had a real deep, powerful podcast episode a couple of weeks ago with the lads from Riding Through Grief. They're two chaps who both lost their wives to cancer, sadly, and one of them just decided he was going to start a YouTube channel just about how he was dealing with grief, how he's dealing with loss and how the bike was a way of him dealing with it. And he just thought it might help somebody out there. And through that, he met Gordon, this other guy. And it's just going from strength to strength, if you pardon the expression. But so many people have been in touch with them now, saying they're in the same boat, like the bikes just help their mental health, particularly blokes. I think lads historically were quite coy about this sort of stuff. We haven't in the past opened up about your feelings and your mental health and how you might be struggling with things. And I definitely think it's much more is accepted the right word? It's talked about a lot more now, definitely, and I think it's talked about in a much wider range of age ranges, from teenagers right through to, lads in their 70s and beyond are starting to open up about it, particularly on social media. So, I think that's where social media can be a big plus, really. There's a lot of negatives with it, but I think there's some real positives with it where it can bring people together and into a community. And I think the bikes, as you mentioned there, bikes themselves, they're a great vehicle, if you like, for mental health, for benefits to your mental health, for sure. And the more people that experience that, the better, I think.
I think you're absolutely right. And like you say, bikes, you see that there are a lot more male bikers than there are female bikers. It's fairly male dominated. And like you say, at men in general, we're pretty poor at opening up, but biking is a really good way to just form groups. You have loads of ride outs and things like that. I'm currently taking lessons with IAM, the Institute of Advanced Motorcyclists, and they do ride outs at least once a month, if not more. And it's just a way of getting people together, especially men, and you end up in a group with people with similar interests, biking, and it just allows people to start talking. And you start talking about bikes, and you end up talking about conversations go whatever.
Of course,
and it's a really good way of getting people to open up and communicate.
Yeah, definitely. I see it. I have a tour business, and I really notice it now more than. I've been doing it for quite a few years now, but now more than ever, I have guys coming away on tour with me, and they've never ever met each other a lot of the time. And as you said, you're sat there having a coffee or a brew or whatever during the day, or a beer in the evening, and bikes instigate the conversation. That brings everybody together. But then the lads start chatting, and the blokes just open up. Probably because we're all strangers, but they just open up about stuff, and it's incredible what people are hauling around, in their heads a lot of the time. And a lot of the time they don't ever speak about it, but you put them in that situation where they're just together and they've got the bikes and maybe a beer flowing, and the lads just start talking, and you can see it really does help a lot of them. It's great to see. Dave is asking a question here. He says, secondly, what would be the thing to encourage younger people in and keep a broad church? Yeah, I think the licensing thing needs to be sorted out, and the insurance and the cost. Just the financial side of biking is quite restrictive. Well, very restrictive now.
Yeah, I do fully believe that the licensing is a big thing, that the biggest blocker that prevents more people getting into it. It's only cheaper to insure a bike, and it's cheaper to tax a bike. So cost of living, as we know, is insane right now. So anything extra is, you don't want to pay extra. But I think to get more people in, we need easier licensing, and also a bit more emphasis on biking. If you're not in the biking circles, if you're not in the community, you don't hear about it that much. There aren't adverts on TV advocating biking. The best you get is an advert on, look out for bikers so you don't crash into them, which is, important. But there's not much promotion on the benefits of biking, on the reducing congestion and being cheaper to run with a car, and all that kind of stuff. So I think better promotion and easier licensing are the two big things that will allow more bikers.
So why do you think that is then? Why do you think there aren't the bike adverts out there? Like you get car adverts, there's no bike adverts. Why is that, do you think?
I think it's a bit of one thing causes the other, catch-22. Because there aren't many bikers, you're not going to get as many adverts, and because there aren't as many adverts, you're not going to get as many bikers. So we need to try and break that cycle somewhere. It's also a bit of you hear a lot of people complaining about bikes. Unfortunately, there are, in any group, you have good people in that group and you have bad people. You get good riders and you get bad riders. Ones that are zipping in and out of traffic in ways that definitely aren't so legal and so safe. And unfortunately, people lock onto that negative side. So we need to try and get rid of that, and try and focus on the positives and the benefits of riding. And that'll be a good step forward to further promotion to riding.
Yeah, I wonder why the biking sector. Why? Because the main manufacturers all have PR teams companies that handle their PR. So you think it would be in their best interests to get together and figure out some sort of campaign to promote biking, surely. Because the more you promote it, the more bikers you bring into the market, which increases your potential customer base to buy your product, doesn't it? So I wonder why they've not done that then so far.
I think kind of part of the problem is it kind of ties into the whole licensing thing. Is that, say for example, if you have you just your CBT and you can just ride a 125, there's only a very set group of bikes that you are actually able to buy. So, you might go for a Gixxer 125 or a CB 125R. And it's kind of the similar when you get into the A2 as well. A lot of people go for the KTM 390s, the Honda 500s, and so on. And so I would guess for them, they don't feel the need to advertise to that group, because that group is forced to go for those bikes, in a way.
Yeah, but there's definitely, I can really see a big rise in these smaller mid-range CC bikes, your 300s to sort of 600c, maybe not even 600, your 300 to say 500cc range, because there's a definite movement at the moment where people are stepping away from the big adventure bikes. There's definitely a crowd, a momentum beginning to build of people moving away from that and having a look at smaller CC bikes. Hence why the likes of BMW just have that concept, that 450 GS. Have you seen that? The concept bike on that looks amazing.
That's the one that's based on the 1300, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's just 450. I mean, it looks amazing. Sounds awesome as well. I think that could be a massive seller if they actually. I think they're going to build it. Plainly, they're going to build it.
It'll be interesting to see how. Oh, sorry.
No, carry on. Sorry.
No, sorry. It's just to say. So both me and Rob both are into off-roading. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of fills a gap almost with the sort of between the Honda CB500X and the the 1008 700s, and then the bigger bikes like the R1250s, the 1300s. I think there's definitely a gap in the market for a sort of middleweight 450 sort of adventure bike, but then it's whether they can pull it off in terms of having that balance of something you can take down to Strata, Florida and Wales, and then ride into work on the Monday. I think at the moment there's a lot of, especially with the lightweight bikes, like you're looking at the Honda CRF sort of things, the Royal Enfield Himalayans, they're very much one way or the other sort of thing. It'd be interesting to see where they can balance that out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a two-pronged sort of attack there, in that the biking market is definitely getting older here in the UK, so those people that are now at the big adventure bikes, I see comments all the time and across my socials from particularly blokes who are just like, these bikes are just too big for me now. They're getting a little bit older, and a big sort of 250, 260 kilogram bike, it's too much for them to handle a lot of the time to move the thing around. So they're all starting to look at smaller CC bikes. There's a big rise in women coming into biking. Not to say they can't handle the big bikes. Of course they can. But I think just the physical constraints a lot of the time, they are looking for more manageable bikes out there. And that's where this mid-ground is.
Have you seen, is it, what's the channel? Is it, I can't remember the name now. I don't think there's two on there. There's Itchy Boots. She's a female. Well, Itchy Boots is a female rider, and she's not especially tall, and she rides all sorts of bigger bikes. So there are girls out there who aren't particularly tall that are able to.
Of course.
To take big ones, but yeah, you're right in that if you're new to biking, you don't want to take on what you can't touch the ground on. There's you naturally want to have a bike that fits.
Yeah, definitely. There's Kate, username Kate. She's a tiny wee lass, and she rides a great big GS as well. But it still is a big hulking machine. Even for blokes I know, it's a big hulking machine when you're off the bike and you're trying to move the thing around. And some of them, especially if you drop it, and they're just, oh, for God's sake. So there are people that are just looking for these smaller bikes, and I can really see a big growth in that market, and particularly because they're going to be cheaper to insure as well. Because my 1300, what's that cost me? £900 and something pound a year. That cost me for full business use and max mileage. There's a chunk of change you got to pay, and I've got 10, 11 years no claims with it, so it's still a lot to pay. Whereas a smaller CC bike, it's not going to be anywhere near that, is it?
And that's the thing, though. But with the smaller CCs, again, if you're 16, you can only get a 125, and if you're 16, you also just don't have the funding to buy much. So, costing is a big thing. People can't afford.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I think fundamentally, there's got to be a drive from the motorcycle sector itself. So like the PR teams, somebody has to get hold of this and try and, as you say, get biking back into the fore more if that can be done. And I don't think traditional TV advertising is the way to go anymore. It has to be done through social media. Definitely.
Yeah.
I will say I get a lot of bike adverts, like selling them on my social media, but then I think the problem is the algorithm, really. Like,
yeah, of course.
They know that I'm someone who's interested in bikes, but if someone isn't, then they don't get advertised to. So
I seem to get a lot of gym girls and CrossFit chicks for some reason. I don't know why that is.
I must be doing something wrong because I just get funny dog videos and then bikes as well.
Oh, are you the little angel of the group then, are you, Charlie?
I must be. My mother would be proud.
Yeah. Dave says, enjoy the ride and don't forget the 7 Ps. Is that proper planning prevents piss poor performance? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Right, gotcha. Did you go to that lecture, lads? Have you been to that lecture?
What lecture?
Like it. Cheers to that one, Dave. Next one, Lee Churchman. Evening, lads. What a fantastic endeavour. Right, given the fact you're Remy, who have you bought your vehicle breakdown cover from?
I'm with the AA.
Like it. Confidence. Yeah. That was it. He just says, wishing you all the best for your challenge. Cheers. Lee the Tanky. Next one. Julian Claydon. Evening, gents. Firstly, congratulations on coming up with such an epic challenge. And secondly, thank you for choosing such a worthy cause. My question is, did you set yourselves a budget for your chosen steeds? And whose bike was in the worst state and in need of the most fettling? I wish you every success for your challenge. Jules from Kent. Well, we kind of covered this. Charlie. So go on in.
I feel like I should cut in here. So the budget set for the bikes was £500, and the total budget for the bikes and the repairs was £700. Now, the lads would argue that as mine was found, is in boxes from a scrapyard in Norfolk, it would be my bike. However, I would make an argument that potentially Roberts could have been worse off because his electrics don't work. And he also, how many carburetors was it you had to buy, Rob?
Well, I've only bought the one carburetor, as well as another rebuild kit that was for the wrong carburetor, so we won't worry about that. The electrics, however, you say my electrics don't work, the horn is immaculate. I'll have you know that it honks like you wouldn't believe. No, everyone's going to hear me coming with that one. But you are right. My front indicators come on, but they're only solids. They don't flash. The rear indicators don't come on at all. I've got no headlight. I've got no side light. And the brake light turns off when you apply the brake.
Right.
Which is an interesting feature of the FZ50. The brake lights are on until you press the brake, then they turn off.
You know what the solution to that is? Don't brake. Don't brake.
Well, I mean, I don't really have to with the speed it goes at the moment.
Exactly. Put your feet down.
Put your feet on the floor.
There you go. There you go. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Andy's got a question for us. Evening, gents. Hope this finds you well. Firstly, let me say thank you for your service to our country. Now to the questions. How much had you had to drink when you came up with the idea of not only doing the 3 peaks or even using mopeds as a means of transport, but to add the third level of restoration of said mopeds? Yeah, I think we need to delve into this. Like, what sort of a booze sesh are we talking about when you came up with this idea?
There was a reasonable selection on tap, and we did have to try quite a significant amount of them. I'm trying to remember what they were called now. Charlie, can you remember what they were called? It was called the Pheasant.
It was like Boxer Ales or something, wasn't it? Or Boxer Bowerland Brewery, maybe.
What, not even tequila?
It was in the bar on camp.
I particularly like the Pheasant. Charlie particularly liked the Boxer. There was another one as well, but yeah, we had a fair few. We had a fair few and quite a long discussion.
How did you come into this, Nathan?
Well, I think I was just speaking to Charlie at one point, and he just went, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this challenge," and I went, "Oh, can I join?" And it just meant an excuse to get another bike. So I think it was only a few days later that me and you went to pick one up, didn't we?
I
You're
think
the
it might
one to
even have been the
watch,
next
aren't
day.
you? You're the one to watch. Never mind the Action Man Commando sitting in the infrared in the background there. You're the nutter, aren't you? I can tell out this group. Where were we there? That was Andy's first question. Second question. As an example of a, let's say, experienced human, i.e. an old man, I still have fond memories of riding around the estate in Woodlands where I grew up on an old C50 that my group of friends' parents had used to travel to work. Indeed, I often wonder if my motorcycling journey is an attempt to recapture that joy. So, what was your first experience of riding and how do you now look upon it?
Well, I'll jump in mine. I actually rode. I had a Suzuki, I think it was a 50cc, and then I went up to 125 when I lived in New Zealand at the time when I was about 7 or so, and I rode that around with my bike, which is a time I look back on a lot. I believe we've actually got pictures on the Instagram of my time back there. My first time riding actual bike, so if you like, was at 16. Got my my CBT. I got Honda Varadero 125. Called it Black Dragon, and it was it wasn't much more than a hairdryer on wheels. But I tell you what, I loaded up with some weight, and it moved not very quickly and not with much efficiency, but it did get me around. I mean, at the time, it was so slow and pathetic that honestly, I then stopped riding for a bit and then came back when I was 24. But looking back on it now, it was such a silly vehicle. It just couldn't go up hills. It just had no guts to it whatsoever. And it was such a good vehicle. I'll try and find the picture of it loaded up, and we'll put it on our Instagram so you can look forward to that one. But my first look at bikes was riding around with my dad in New Zealand, where there's so much more freedom to go off road. And I had a Suzuki. He had a DRZ 400, which I've now got in my garage.
Cool.
I use off road.
What, the same bike?
It's not the same bike.
Right.
No, it's a different reg. His probably still out in New Zealand, but yeah, no. In fact, no, we brought it over to the UK and then it got sold. But yeah, it's a different bike, but it's the same model. So it's weird being on that now, thinking my dad used to ride one of these, and at the time I thought it was a big bike, an adult bike. Yeah. And now I get on it, and I'm 6'7". It's not that big, but it does the job.
My first memory of bikes was I must have been 5, maybe 6. And my dad used to work out in the oil rigs, North Sea. And I remember my dad coming home on leave and he had a mate with him. And I just remember this great big bearded guy, actually. And he was on this massive big blue bike. And I remember the Silver S. So obviously it's Suzuki. It would have been a Bandit. And I remember
mate. I'm going to have to disappear.
No worries, Charlie.
Sorry, mate. I'm going to have to disappear. I'll see you later.
No dramas, mate. Keep your head down. Ta-ra, pal.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, but yeah, and I remember my dad or the bloke just lifting me up and plonking me on the tank, and the guy sort of rode it round the outside of that. I lived in the middle of nowhere when I grew up, middle of nowhere in Scotland, and he rode round the house, the fields on this thing, and I just remember it stuck in my mind. But my mum was always anti-bike, so I never did the bike thing when I was a kid. I didn't pass my test till I was 32, so I left it till later on in life, but that always stuck with me, that bike. And it was probably like a 600cc 650 or something like that, but to me this thing was enormous because I was this little kid. Yeah. What about yourself, Nathan?
Big things look as a kid, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
I it kind of relates to this challenge, to be honest. It was when I was 16. I convinced my parents to let me get a 50cc, but they kind of gave the caveat that I could get one, but it couldn't be an expensive one, and I had to work on it to fix it up because I was at college doing mechanics at the time, and so I got a Gilera RCR 50, which is like the kind of supermoto kind of style 50cc. And yeah, I got it running, and I put quite a few new bits on it, and then I basically just rode it around the garden a little bit, and then I joined the army. So it kind of got left for maybe almost 2 years. But in that time, I then got my 125. I ended up selling the 50, and then I've had like, I think, almost a dozen bikes after that. So yeah.
Have you got like big bikes, bigger CC bikes, or are you lads just you like the small CC bikes?
I've got a 600 at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the biggest I've had was a 1250, which was my Bandit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like you were saying, like, because that was, I think, 250, 260 kilograms.
Yeah.
And like, it was really comfy. It was great. But then kind of just going around, like city traffic and going like along tight country lanes, it just wasn't quite as fun. But like, I've got a Hornet 600 now, and I absolutely love it because it's kind of that perfect weight, but it's also got enough go to have some fun.
Yeah. I got to admit, I love the big, powerful CCs. I've got the 1300 GS out in the garage. I've got my Gixxer Thou. I love the big, powerful bikes, but I really enjoy the small, like the 125 CCs. I've done quite a bit on the smaller CC stuff now, and I did this thing with another YouTuber, Mr. Fish, official Mr. Fish, and a mate of mine, Richie Vida. And the three of us got little 125 cc's, and we did like a road trip. Fish and I rode from London up to the Peak District and met up with Richie Vida, and then we rode around the Peak District, and Rich took us down some green lanes and stuff on these little bikes, and then Fish and I left Rich, and we went to Wales, and we went round Wales and had a great time, and then rode back to London. So we did like 1,000 miles in 3 days on these little 125s. And you know what? I don't think I've ever laughed as much as I did on that. Just absolutely loved it. I'm 6'3", near enough 21 stone. Well, about 20 and a half stone at that point. And I'm on this this 125, literally ringing its ear. And it's doing, maybe at a push downhill with a good wind, 40, 42 mile an hour. The rest of the time, you're probably sat at 30, 35 mile an hour, maybe. I loved it.
Dragon, yeah.
Yeah. Great fun. You just got a smile on your face the whole time. Loved it.
They're just so silly, aren't they? They're so good because they're so silly, and they're so they try. Yeah. They're like small dogs. They try so hard, but they just can't go. They don't have the guts of the bigger dogs, but they're there.
But you're never going to get done for speeding on them, are you? So you just don't need to worry about that. It's a speed camera. Well, that's a challenge. Let's see what we can do.
Well, it's like you'll never see someone looking sad or miserable or serious on a Vespa, just because you just can't. Like,
unless it's raining. If it's pushing it down with rain and you're sat there like, oh, come on, get me home. Andy, he's got a little thing at the end. He said, Bruce, I know you're a late joiner to the world of bikes, and acknowledging that, have you... and acknowledging that you've caught up and exceeded most, but have you ever wondered what would have happened if you'd gotten your bike much earlier, i.e. at college or before? Do you know, I think I'm kind of glad I was late to biking, because I don't know, I was late to biking, but I look back and I rode like a complete idiot, on... Although I was old Bill trained, I trained to drive the police cars. I passed all those courses, so I knew roadcraft and all that malarkey, and obviously dealt with the aftermath of accidents on the road and that. But I still rode my Gixxers like a fucking arsehole, just a twat. And I think I got away with it. But I think if I'd maybe done that at a younger age, I don't know if I'd have made it to 32, to be honest. I'm quite glad I was a little bit later, because I've hopefully had a slightly more mature head on my shoulders, maybe. But I still rode like a twat, so I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys reckon?
I think it is something that you do kind of, because obviously, like, getting on a bike, like, they are quick, and I think it is something you kind of just you have to get over it, kind of.
Yeah.
Like you
Get
have
it
to
out of your system.
Yeah. And then once you do, it's yeah.
Good lad. Sorry.
Yeah, once you do get over it, like, then you just enjoy the ride, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I still like making progress, but I think
Yeah.
I know I'm definitely much more reserved now than I have been in the past. But I still enjoy it. I'm still having fun.
So I'll totally recommend company taking lessons. I mentioned it before with the Institute of Advanced Motorists, the IAM. I'm taking lessons with them at the moment, and you talk about making progress, and it's part of the course of using the benefits of being on two wheels, the extra power that we've got, and being able to make that extra progress with more safety. And it makes you just, I've not finished it yet. I haven't passed I haven't even attempted the test yet. But already, after 2-3 lessons, I think, already I can see a difference in my riding. It's so much more progressive, but also safer.
Yeah.
So for those that are worried about the safety aspect, you can take lessons with them, and you can do that as soon as, you can do it with a CBT, and you can start taking advanced riding tests, advanced riding lessons, and they just help you be better, take advantage of what your bike offers you, and use that in a safe way to be better.
Definitely. I mean, there's IAM, there's ROSPA, there's lots of private organisations out there, Rapid and people like that, but they're all based on Roadcraft, which is like the sort of police handbook for driving and riding on the road. And just Roadcraft itself, folks, just learning the basics of roadcraft, things like reading the limit point and reading the markings in the road, just the simple white lines in the road, reading, knowing what the different markings mean, and the road signs, road positioning, all stuff like that can make a massive difference to your riding. So 100% do a bike safe course. It's a couple of quid, it's not much at all. Go out there and just listen to what the old bill tell you and what feedback you get from that. Simple things like your positioning in the road, it can really make a big difference to your riding, and will definitely make you safer. And you can
reduce your insurance price.
There you
premium.
go. Yeah, absolutely. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but just having that knowledge and then apply it to your style of riding. Like I've done stuff with the IAM before, and I've not done stuff with ROSPA, but I know quite a lot of people in ROSPA. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not into that side of it, but 100%, I big advocate of just learn roadcraft and apply that to however you like to ride a bike, for sure. Hopefully it'll keep you riding for a little bit longer.
I've seen a thing online where people as someone said, people love to upgrade their hardware, get their better bikes, get their better gear, get all that. But you're not going to get any faster or any better until you start updating the software that's in your head with better training and improving yourself. Your bike can only go as fast as the monkey on the handlebars can take it. It can only be as safe as that monkey can go. So it's like improve yourself, and you'll improve your riding.
Absolutely. It's like spending 1,500 quid on a titanium exhaust to save a couple of kilograms on the bike to get you that a little bit quicker. Yet we still go to Greg's. Sorry, what's it called? I don't think I can. I'm Scottish and I've had a beer. I don't think my tongue works that way. Yeah, but then we still go to Greg's, don't we, and have a pasty, or McDonald's and have the burger. Just lose a bit of weight yourself and the bike will go quicker. But anyway, gents, that's us. We've gone through all the questions. I've had you for over an hour here. Is there any part of the challenge that you'd like to focus on or promote?
I think it's just, as you say, we need to get the interest out there, and have a look at our socials, and have a look at our Instagram, and see what get involved, follow us, like us, share us. And if you can afford it, donate to our giving. So it's 3 Mopeds, 3 Peaks is our Instagram, and just have a look. It costs nothing to just have a look at our Insta and see what you think and get involved. We are also looking, when we get closer to the date, we'll look at the route we're going to take And if we can, we'll post that out as well. And if there are people, preferably also on their little 50cc's mopeds or whatever you've got, you can join us for a leg or two, and we'll make a ride out of it.
Awesome. Are you going to document it? Are you going to film it as you're going along for the actual challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Charlie have got GoPros. I don't know about you, Robert, but yeah.
I've got all the GoPros from past hobbies.
We're gonna have lots of camera angles.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you got a YouTube channel?
We will do.
Yeah.
There you go.
We will do. That's a work in progress. At the moment, we're working on Instagram. Once we stop being as busy as we are, we'll open up YouTube, and we'll get that going too.
Got it. I mean, these days, you don't necessarily need the YouTube. How old am I? You don't necessarily need YouTube now. You've got Instagram, so you've got reels, you've got your stories. To be honest, it's a lot less grief. You can just film it organically as you're going. You don't need to worry about like in-depth editing or anything like that. And it's just short form content. That's what people want. They can just digest short content there and then. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to following following the builds of the mopeds and seeing how you all get on with them. Nathan's just sat there all smug, mine's ready to go. Could do it tomorrow,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? You could do a practice run, Nathan.
I'll knowing my luck, I'll break down like 5 miles away from my house. Like,
don't worry about it. You just cycle the rest.
Oh, brilliant. Awesome. Right, folks, as I said, all the links for this will be down below. Make sure you give the lads a follow. If there's any companies out there that think they might be able to help the lads, or anybody out there that thinks they might be able to help the lads out, drop them a line through their Instagram. Gents, been a pleasure. Nice to chat to you. Look after yourselves. Thank you very much for your service, for what you're doing.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, pleasure. Cheers. Absolute pleasure. And as we get closer to October next year, if you want to come back on for another push before you do it, then drop me a line and we'll see what we can do.
Sounds good.
I'm sure we will.
Right. Awesome. Okay, folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. Make sure you check what the lads are doing out. And as always, keep doing your thing. Look after those that you love. Get on out there whenever you can. But most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha! Let me stop that.